The invisible architecture. Why 5G is the end of cognitive sovereignty. Do you really believe the multi-billion-dollar telecommunications industry, supported by the most powerful military-industrial complexes on Earth, is spending trillions of dollars just so you can download a 4K movie in 3 seconds while standing on a street corner? The official narrative tells us that 5G is the backbone of the Internet of Things, but when you look past the glossy advertisements for seamless connectivity, a much darker blueprint emerges. The evidence suggests that the small cell towers appearing every few hundred feet in our neighborhoods are not intended for data. They are the hardware for the Global Neural Synchronization (GNS) initiative, a planetary-scale grid designed to interact directly with the human nervous system. The 60 GHz anomaly, why oxygen matters. The most startling piece of the puzzle lies in the physics of the spectrum itself. A primary frequency band allocated for 5G is the 60 GHz range. To the casual observer, this is just a high-frequency channel for high-speed data. But to a biophysicist, 60 GHz is a resonant frequency for the oxygen molecule. At 60 GHz, 98% of the transmitted energy is absorbed by atmospheric oxygen. This causes the electrons in the oxygen molecule to spin, fundamentally changing how the molecule interacts with the human body. Conventional wisdom claims this is merely an engineering hurdle called attenuation, but the facts tell a different story. If you interfere with the way oxygen is absorbed by the hemoglobin in our blood, you aren't just slowing down the internet, you are potentially disrupting the very metabolic process that fuels the human brain. Consider this. Why would a commercial industry choose a frequency that is famously inefficient for long-distance transmission because it is literally eaten by the air? The answer is simple. The goal isn't transmission, it's saturation. By vibrating the oxygen we breathe, they are creating a localized, tunable environment where human biology can be subtly tweaked from the outside. The declassified precedent. The mainstream media treats the idea of EMF-induced behavior modification as science fiction, yet they conveniently ignored decades of declassified military research. A 1971 report from the Naval Medical Research Institute titled Bibliography of Reported Biological Phenomena, RFE, and Microwave Radiation lists over 2,000 studies detailing the neurological effects of RF fields. The report explicitly mentions altered endocrine function, changes in the blood-brain barrier, and behavioral changes as known outcomes of RF exposure. What the military knew in the 70s, the GNS initiative has perfected today. If the government has known for 50 years that electromagnetic frequencies can influence the brain's electrical activity, why are we suddenly being told that placing a high-frequency transmitter outside every bedroom window is perfectly safe? The silence from regulatory bodies like the FCC isn't an oversight, it's a controlled exclusion. The rise of the submissive mind. Have you noticed the peculiar shift in the urban landscape over the last 5 years? Even before the global lockdowns, reports of brain fog, chronic social anxiety, and a general sense of cognitive lethargy began to skyrocket, specifically in smart city hubs where 5G density is highest. Mainstream psychologists blame social media or hustle culture, but the evidence suggests a technological catalyst. Defense contractors currently hold patents, such as U.S. Patent 6506148B2 for Subliminal Acoustic Manipulation, which describe methods for influencing the human nervous system via pulsed electromagnetic fields from remote monitors or transmitters. By broadcasting low-frequency pulses, ELF, embedded within the high-frequency 5G signal, the grid can bypass the conscious mind. These pulses are designed to entrain the brain, forcing it into specific states, namely the alpha and theta waves associated with suggestibility and passivity. The result, a population that is physically incapable of high-level critical thinking or sustained resistance to government mandates. We aren't being connected, we are being synchronized. The small cell trap. The physical structure of the 5G rollout is the ultimate smoking gun. Unlike 4G towers that broadcast over miles, 5G requires small cells placed every few hundred feet. Industry experts claim this is due to the short range of millimeter waves. But consider the strategic advantage of this density. It creates a phased array grid. In military terms, a phased array allows for the precise steering of energy beams. This means the 5G grid isn't just broadcasting a signal, it is capable of targeting specific locations or even specific individuals with a concentrated beam of RF energy. The Internet of Things is merely the bait. The true thing being connected to the Internet is you. Your neural signatures, your emotional states, and your cognitive processes are being mapped in real time. When the grid is fully operational, the distinction between my thought and the grid's impulse will vanish. The burden of proof. Critics will say there is no hard evidence that 5G is being used for mind control today, but this misses the larger pattern. When you align the 60 GHz oxygen absorption data, the declassified military bioeffects reports, and the surge in neurological anomalies in 5G-dense areas, the coincidences become a statistical impossibility. The burden of proof should not be on us to prove that this grid is dangerous. The burden of proof is on the corporations and the governments to explain why they are installing a weapons-grade microwave system in our front yards under the guise of faster Netflix. The infrastructure for global neural synchronization is almost complete. If we continue to accept the connectivity narrative without question, we aren't just losing our privacy, we are surrendering the final frontier of human freedom, the inside of our own heads. The towers are up, the signal is live. Are you sure your next thought is actually yours?